The residents of a small village, nestled among picturesque hills and fields, were renowned for their kind nature and love for animals. Each resident viewed it as their duty to assist any creature in distress. One day, a local farmer named Jack encountered a harrowing dilemma, one that would require him to risk his own life. Returning home after a busy day at work, Jack decided to take a shortcut through an old field covered with tall, withered grass. Walking slowly along a familiar path, he suddenly heard a quiet, plaintive howl, as if someone was crying for help. Frowning, Jack slowed down and began to carefully examine the surroundings. The tall grass obscured his view, but it seemed to him that the sound was coming from the right. Carefully parting the stalks, Jack moved toward the source of the sound, and soon he saw a horrifying sight. A small, frightened dog was floundering in the middle of muddy swamp muck. The poor animal desperately tried to escape from the natural trap it had accidentally fallen into, but these futile attempts only dragged it deeper into the foul-smelling mire. The dog's fur was incredibly dirty, and hopeless horror was frozen in its eyes, barely visible from the dirt. Hearing the approach of a human, the dog lifted its head, whimpered pitifully, and looked pleadingly at Jack, as if asking him for rescue. The farmer's heart sank with pity. He could not leave the defenseless creature in such trouble. But approaching the animal was too dangerous. Jack risked falling into the swamp himself and never getting out. Quickly looking around, he noticed an old plank lying nearby. Carefully placing it on the muddy surface of the swamp, Jack began to slowly move forward along this flimsy makeshift bridge. Each step was accompanied by a worrying squelch, but the farmer relentlessly approached the trapped dog. Finally, he was very close to the unfortunate animal. The dog's eyes pleading looked at the man who was its last hope. Trembling all over, it frantically tried to grasp the hand extended by Jack. Finally picking up the poor creature, the farmer began to carefully pull the dog out of the dangerous quagmire. It was extremely difficult. The dirt, with a slurping sound, was sucked onto the entire body of the animal, as if not wanting to part with its prey. After several attempts, Jack finally managed to pull the dog onto solid ground. The poor creature immediately collapsed, exhaustedly to the ground, still unable to recover from the horror it had experienced. Its fur was matted and smeared in sticky mud, and its movements were sluggish and trembling. It seemed that the unfortunate animal had been in the terrible trap for a long time. Quickly taking off his work jacket, Jack gently wrapped the trembling body of the dog and began to carefully wipe it from the clinging mud. As the animal was freed from the dirty mess, the features of a well-cared-for dog became increasingly clear. Jack realized that this was not a stray dog, but someone's domestic pet that had accidentally gotten into trouble. Having cleaned the dog as best as he could, the farmer carefully picked it up in his arms and headed towards the nearest houses, hoping to find the poor thing's owners. To his surprise, within 5 minutes he heard desperate screams coming from the side of the road. Increasing his pace, Jack soon saw 2 excited people who, noticing a man with a dog, rushed towards him. "Arbella! Oh, how we were worried!" exclaimed a thin, middle-aged woman, reaching out for the rescued dog. "Where did you find her? We've been looking for her all day." Jack carefully handed the trembling dog into her arms, and the woman immediately hugged Bella to her chest, showering the pet with kisses. Her companion, a rugged man with a weathered face, looked at Jack with boundless gratitude. "Thank you, kind sir. We thought we had lost our beloved pet forever. How can we ever thank you for your bravery?" Jack just smiled shyly in response. For him, helping someone in trouble was a completely natural thing, not requiring special gratitude. He could not pass by the unfortunate creature, doomed to a slow and painful death. "Don't mention it," replied the farmer. "I just did what anyone in my place would have done. The main thing is that your pet is safe." The man and woman gratefully nodded, holding Bella even tighter. The happy dog wagged its tail, clearly unwilling to part with its savior. Jack, looking at the peaceful faces of the pet's owners, felt a warm sense of satisfaction. He was glad that he had not left the dog to its fate and had given it a helping hand at the most critical moment. After bidding farewell to the grateful couple, Jack continued along the village road, softly humming an old folk tune. His heart brimmed with joy, knowing that today had not been in vain. He had rescued a small, defenseless creature. Bella was now back home, safe and snug, enveloped in the care and love of her owners. As he smiled, Jack reflected on how these seemingly small acts could make our world a slightly better place.